There's something ritualistic about Arthur Fleck's transformation. The way he applies his makeup feels less like disguise and more like surrender, as if each stroke of color helps him disappear a little further into the person the city already decided he was. In Joker, Todd Phillips gives us a story dressed like a comic book origin but staged like a tragedy. The city burns, the clown dances, and what we're left with isn't a villain's birth. It's a civilization's breakdown caught on camera. Arthur isn't born evil. He's manufactured. Every humiliation, every neglect,
One of your boyfriends repeatedly abused your adopted son.
every empty prescription bottle adds another layer of paint. Gotham doesn't create the Joker in one moment. It does it through years of not caring. Gotham feels less like a setting and more like a diagnosis. The garbage strikes, the sirens, the flickering lights, they all blur into a portrait of a system rotting from the inside. Phillips shoots the city with grainy nostalgia, invoking 1970s cinema. Taxi Driver, The King of Comedy, Network. It's an urban fever dream where decay looks familiar enough to be real. Every shot in Arthur's world feels vertically trapped. Staircases, narrow hallways, subway tunnels. The camera keeps in climbing or falling, never standing still. Gotham's geography becomes psychological architecture. It's a city designed to break the people who built it. Arthur, played by Joaquin Phoenix, occupies the lowest rung of that ecosystem. His laughter disorder, his poverty, his reliance on medication, all form a kind of invisible prison. Even his job as a clown is humiliating. A performance of joy for a city allergic to kindness. Phillips doesn't romanticize this. The city's cruelty isn't cinematic. It's bureaucratic. The moment Arthur's social worker tells him funding for his sessions has been cut, the film shifts.
They don't give a shit about people like you, Arthur.
She says. It's not just a line. It's the thesis. For Arthur, comedy is the last fragile thread between him and the world. He studies late-night hosts like sacred mentors, tracing their rhythm, trying to decode what makes an audience laugh. His notebook, filled with crude jokes and violent fantasies, feels like the diary of someone trying to learn the language of joy. When Arthur steps onto the stage, he doesn't just bomb, he dissolves. He laughs at the wrong time.
Hello, it's good to be here.
Coughs between punchlines.
My mother would say, you should enjoy it. One day you'll have to work for a living.
And waits for an audience response that never arrives. The humiliation lingers in the way he keeps looking out into the crowd, still believing that recognition might heal something. That scene turns laughter into cruelty. In Joker, comedy stops being a form of release and becomes an autopsy of empathy. The world's sense of humor relies on someone else's pain. Murray Franklin, played by Robert De Niro, embodies that shift. He sits at the top of a culture that mistakes mockery for truth. When he plays Arthur's failed routine on national television, he isn't being cruel for fun. He's being cruel for ratings.
You should have listened to your mother.
For Arthur, the betrayal feels cosmic. He isn't just humiliated, he's confirmed. Every time he's laughed at, the world reaffirms that his suffering is disposable. The relationship between Arthur and his mother, played by Frances Conroy, functions as the emotional core of the film's rot.
Don't you have to be funny to be a comedian?
Their apartment glows with a kind of stale warmth, filled with old furniture and older lies. Penny Fleck's obsession with Thomas Wayne is less about romance and more about survival. A fantasy that gives meaning to her suffering. When Arthur learns the truth about his childhood, the abuse, the adoption, the delusion. The lie collapses, but so does he.
I used to think that my life was a tragedy. But now I realize it's a fucking comedy.
His mother's betrayal strips away the only narrative that made his pain tolerable. Alone in the bathroom, he wipes off the remnants of who he was and begins painting who the city will allow him to be. The scene where he dances after the subway killing has become iconic, but beneath the movement there's no celebration. The violence doesn't liberate him, it focuses him. His body moves like it's discovering rhythm for the first time, but the music he hears is entirely internal. The dance is his declaration that he's finished trying to be understood. The image of Arthur descending those stairs in full costume has been replayed endlessly online, usually stripped of its despair. It's easy to see it as triumph, but what's actually unfolding is closer to exorcism. That descent feels almost spiritual in the worst possible way. The camera treats him like a man rehearsing for a new identity, one shaped entirely by spectacle. He dances because he finally feels seen, and in a city like Gotham, attention is the closest thing to love.
One small thing.
Yeah.
When you bring me out, can you introduce me as Joker?
By the time Arthur arrives on Murray's stage, the transformation is complete.
So please welcome Joker.
The spotlight feels like judgment. The audience, applauding out of habit, mirrors the entire city. People too numb to realize they're watching a confession, not a comedy.
Ever since I killed those 3 Wall Street guys.
When Arthur pulls the trigger, it isn't revolution.
Get what you fucking deserve!
It's catharsis twisted into theater. The act becomes entertainment the moment it's broadcast.
Good night. And always remember, that's...
The crowd doesn't see murder. They see content. As Arthur stands atop the police car, blood running from his mouth, the film turns prophecy into spectacle. The people who ignored him now chant his name, mistaking chaos for clarity. The clown becomes a messiah for those who don't care what the message is. Todd Phillips doesn't romanticize the riot. He frames it as the city's collective confession. Every face in the crowd reflects Arthur's, painted, desperate, and searching for purpose. The makeup spreads like a contagion, not because they believe in him, but because it's easier to join the noise than confront the silence. When Arthur laughs in the asylum, there's nothing left of rebellion, only irony. His laughter isn't joyful or deranged. It's the echo of someone who's realized that the world finally shares his sense of humor.
Do you want to tell it to me?
You wouldn't get it.
The makeup was never just decoration. It's a visual language for how performance replaces accountability. Every smile painted on his face is a scar with a costume.
Did you watch the Murray Franklin show? I'm gonna be on tonight.
Gotham's cruelty is layered beneath it, hidden but not gone. Arthur doesn't overthrow the system by killing Murray, he mirrors it. The city thrives on humiliation turned into entertainment, and Arthur becomes its perfect product. The camera doesn't celebrate him, it simply observes, like a witness too late to intervene. Phillips and cinematographer Lawrence Sher build this visual confession around contrast. Not moral contrast, but tonal dissonance.
A little bit gross, but for me, quite beautiful.
Bright color against decay, laughter against silence, movement against emptiness. By the end, the film isn't documenting a man's descent. It's showing how a society teaches him to fall beautifully. Joker doesn't ask us to sympathize with Arthur Fleck. It asks why we only paid attention once he put on a smile. The film isn't warning about villains, it's warning about spectators. We live in a culture that doesn't know how to tell the difference between suffering and a show. Justice wears makeup every time violence is packaged as spectacle, every time outrage becomes entertainment. Arthur's tragedy isn't that he snapped. It's that we watched it happen and called it cinema. So if this essay left you thinking about what we choose to applaud, subscribe, because this channel doesn't cover stories to escape them. It covers them to see what they've turned us into.